Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
Is there one word that would encapsulate everything you've spoken about, that would take us to the place of innocence? Is there a word that we could carry with us that if we actually stepped into the resonance of that word, we would go back into take us back into love and out of fear, control, domination?
Okay, so they're saying on the other side that there are a few words that we'll discuss here that work nicely together. And the first one would be that the key is to learn this year and to also focus on being fully receptive, which means that you go into a place of non-judgment and that you let go of the past, which means that anything that you're going to experience on a daily basis that you have a reference to going through before, that you give that up, that you give up that story, for want of a better word. And that in having a willingness to let go of the past and staying open to things being different now, that would mean that you have to be willing to change. So the first thing that we would suggest is that in those times where you feel torn, or in those times where you're very discontent with what's coming to you from life, or you're frustrated, or you look at your past and think, how am I ever going to actually change that? That the word change is in the forefront of your mind, and the question you pose to yourself, because posing yourself a question is a great way to actually change your world, is that you say, am I willing to change? Am I willing to be different now? And sit with that until your internal chatter is silenced, and you go beyond the ramblings of the ego, which is the voice of doubt, to find your place of center, to call on remembering what it is that you genuinely want to experience in your heart, and say, am I willing to experience this now? Whether it's love, whether it's joy, whether it's freedom, whether it's fun, whether it's adventure, whether it's expression, whether it's creativity, whether it's success, whatever it is that you want to experience, that you have to hold that. Here's another word that we're going to bring up: sacred in your heart. And by that we mean that it is so important to you that you are willing to actually yield to that energy, the energy of the word that you choose, whether it be joy, whether it be freedom, whether it be abundance, whether it be love, that you hold that word and what that word means to you, the resonance of that word close to you in your heart, and then you say to yourself, this is what I want to experience, and am I willing to change in the face of experiencing that? Am I willing to be different? Am I willing to let go of the resistance I have had, whether it be a conversation, whether it be a story, whether it be a hurt, whether it be a reference to the past, that I'm now willing to let that go and stay receptive to my life being different, to being different as a person. So change is one of the words that we would actually flag for this year. Be willing to change and do not resist change. If you do, ask yourself another question. Why am I so afraid to change? And we would say that the first reason coming back would be that you are afraid of giving up control, because you believe that if you give up your control, that you are going to be lost or left by the wayside, that you will actually be abandoned, or that you will be rejected in the face of love, because under everything that we want to experience in life, we are absolutely wanting to return to that state of being loved and loving others. And so in the face of change, to know to give up your resistance and to move into a state of humility. So the first one is change. I choose change. I choose now to move into being new as a being, and my world being new. And in that, I'm going to give up my resistance, and I will turn away my gaze from the past. Not in denial, but rather to have learned from where I've been, to take the goal, to extract that, to have that move forward with me as a part of my character, not as a part of my story. There is a big difference. As a part of your character, it has you grow. It has you move towards recognising that you have what it takes to create the life that you want, and to know that you're enough. And then to move into being receptive, the second word. I will change, and I will be receptive to being different, to the world being different for me, to people being different around me. I will give up my judgment, which brings up the next word, which would be humility. So change, the willingness to change, and to move towards humility, and in that state of humility to be receptive. And the next word that we would invite you to look at here is compassion, because one of the things that is important and has been for quite a few years now in this transitional period, and certainly this year, that compassion will have us actually move towards non-judgment and creating a sense of community and a deeper understanding that we are all vulnerable beings. We have great strengths, and that we are vulnerable. And from that state of vulnerability, our greatest strength is actually born, which is our capacity to love, to receive love and have it influence us and allow us to grow, or to give love earnestly and unconditionally. Because vulnerability will take us to a place we are aligned with our innocence, the word that you asked about, and our true self, with our soul. And so compassion is born of soul, it is born of heart. It brings us into a state of recognising both the weaknesses and strengths of a human being and of ourselves in the space, which means that compassion will take us into a place of aligning us with hope. And hope is an important word to consider this year. And it works beautifully with compassion, and it works beautifully with being receptive, and it absolutely lines up with change and a willingness to be different.